They got to the restaurant first. They ordered everything. They ate for 40 years, then they got up, walked to the bathroom, and left us with the bill. I want to talk about this bill, because the bill is real and the bill is itemized. Gen Z, this is for you and us millennials both. Older millennials know what's on the bill. We've been paying installments on it since 2008. You're now paying installments on it too. We're at the table together. The other table left a while ago. The check came, and we're looking at it now. I'm not talking about all boomers. I want to be clear, like always. I'm not talking about the working class boomer who got laid off when the factory closed and never recovered. I am not talking about the boomer on Social Security trying to make rent. They are at our table. They got stuck with a check too. They were the busboys, not the diners. I am talking about the diners, the donor class, the C-suite, the legacy admits, the PE founders, the op-ed columnists, the trust fund retirees, the country club boomer who is currently writing a LinkedIn post about how this generation does not understand sacrifice. Those boomers. They were at the table. They ordered, they ate, and they walked out without paying. Let me read what they ordered. 40 years at the buffet, from 1980 to 2020. Cheap tuition, state universities, fully subsidized, $400 a year, consumed. Affordable housing, 2.5 times the median income. Single earner mortgages, down payments under $10,000, consumed. Defined benefit pensions, guaranteed lifetime income, employer funded, inflation protected, consumed. Stable climate, pre industrial baseline, habitable atmospheric carbon at 350 parts per million, consumed. Strong unions, 33% of workers covered, real wage growth, negotiated benefits, consumed. Functional public institutions, funded schools, infrastructure, libraries, services, the commons, consumed. 70% top marginal tax rate, the thing that funded everything else on this menu, consumed. The bill, $80 trillion. $80 trillion. That is the rough estimate of what the great wealth transfer is going to look like over the next 30 years from boomer assets to whoever inherits them. 80 trillion. The largest concentration of wealth in human history, parked in the hands of the smallest cohort of individual owners in modern American history, about to be transferred mostly within itself, with a small amount leaking out to the rest of us. The thing they did to acquire that wealth was, very simply, eat the country. Post-war prosperity, federally subsidized education, federally subsidized housing, strong labor markets, good unions, capped capital gains, robust safety nets, all of that was the food. They ate it. They were not satisfied with eating it. They rewrote the menu so the next 4 generations could not order it, and then they sat back full and told us we were not trying hard enough at the empty table. I want to say something to Gen Z directly because I think this is the part that is the hardest to internalize when you are 22 and being told you are the problem. You are not failing. You are not less capable than the people lecturing you. You are not lazier or softer or more entitled. You are encountering in your prime working years a set of conditions that the people scolding you encountered in much milder form much later in their lives, and even then they complained about it. The conditions are objectively harder. The math is publicly available. The lectures are not analysis. They are denial. And I want to say something to my fellow millennials who are watching, especially the older ones who are 40 and tired. We owe Gen Z our backup. Not advice, not condescension, backup. They're taking the same hits we took 15 years ago, only the hits are bigger now because the conditions kept compounding. They walked into a worse version of what we walked into. They deserve our solidarity, our experience, our voting alignment, and at family dinners, they deserve the older millennial who turns to the uncle and says, actually, the math doesn't work the way you're describing. We've been being polite for 15 years. Polite did not work. Time to be useful instead. Gen Z is not the next generation of complainers. Gen Z is the next generation of witnesses. We should be standing with them, not explaining them away. Now the part for the diners, the ones who ate the menu and walked. I want to address you with the calm I have been working on for 30 years, because anger is your favorite excuse to dismiss us. So I will not be angry. I will be precise. 3 things. 1, you did not earn most of it. You were born into the largest sustained economic expansion in human history. You walked into wage growth that had been engineered by the New Deal, by labor unions, by progressive taxation, by GI Bill subsidies, by infrastructure spending you did not vote for and did not pay for. You did not build that prosperity, you inherited it. Then you spent 40 years dismantling the structures that produced it while telling yourselves that prosperity was a personal achievement. It was not. It was a public investment that you privatized. 2. The lectures are not free. Every time you tell my generation or Gen Z that we are soft, lazy, addicted to our phones, killers of industries, you're extracting one more thing from us, our patience. You've been mining that vein for 30 years. The vein is empty. There's no more patience. What replaces it is calm clarity, which is the version of us you like the least, because you cannot dismiss it as emotional. We're not emotional. We are correct. There's a difference, and you have been pretending there isn't. 3. You are not the center anymore. Demographics do not negotiate. Every cycle, you become a smaller share of the electorate. Every cycle, Millennials and Gen Z become a larger one. The country is moving. You can move with it, or you can spend the next 10 years writing op-eds about how it should not be moving. The op-eds will not change the math. The math changes regardless. We're politely informing you in advance because nobody politely informed us when we were walking into the math we walked into. Here's what I want this video to actually do for you, the listener. If you are Gen Z and have been gaslit at a holiday dinner about your work ethic, I want you to know there's a 38-year-old millennial currently doing the math on a kitchen table, looking at student loan statements, getting it. We get it. We have receipts. We are with you. The lectures are not analysis. They are insulation. The people giving them need to be true so that they do not have to look at what they did. The lectures are a defense mechanism. You are allowed to refuse to provide therapy for someone else's denial. If you're an older millennial, this is your moment to step into your role. We are no longer the kids in this story. There's a younger generation behind us who needs the older sibling. Be the older sibling. At family dinners, at work, when your boss makes a kids these days comment about a Gen Z hire, say something, calmly, with receipts. We finally have the language we wished we had when we were 22. Use it for them. If you're a boomer who has been listening to this and feeling defensive, sit with the defensiveness for a minute and ask yourself a real question. Which boomer am I? Am I the busboy or am I the diner? If you are the busboy, you're at our table. Welcome. We have a chair. If you're the diner, and you know if you are, the question is not whether you can keep eating. The question is whether you can stop in time to be remembered as someone who eventually noticed the bill. There is still time. Not a lot. Some. The future was on the menu. You ate it. Now we are cooking again. Don't tell us how to season it. I want to close with a sentence I keep coming back to when I think about all this, because I think it's the sentence that organizes the whole conversation. They were not the greatest generation. They were the inheriting generation. They inherited a country built by their parents, paid for by their parents' taxes, defended by their parents' service, and structured by their parents' policy. And they spent 40 years acting like they had built it themselves, while voting to make sure no one after them could build anything similar. That is not a generation that earned its place in the American story. That is a generation that occupied the place its parents earned and then sold the keys. We, Millennials and Gen Z together, are the generations whose parents and grandparents ate the inheritance. We are the ones who get to decide whether to spend the next 40 years reproducing the same pattern downward, or whether to be the generations that finally cooked another meal. Not stole it, cooked it, worked for it, paid for it, funded the public investment in it, made it real for the people coming after us, the way the people 2 generations before us made it real for them. They were the actual greatest. The boomers just held the room. Gen Z, you and us together, we are next in the kitchen. The room is empty now. The bill is unpaid. We're going to have to deal with both. We're going to be told the entire time that we cannot do it, that it's too expensive, that we're being unrealistic, that we should be grateful for the ruined dining room. We are not going to be grateful. We are going to cook. They ate the future. We're making another one. Don't expect us to save you a seat.